right, welcome to another incredible show where we're going to talk about a whole bunch. There's some videos that I wanted to run, but we're still working out the technicals to make sure that can run. But Dwayne's giving me the head nod. It's probably not going to work. So let's just have a conversation about what it means for the wrecking trade. We've been looking at a whole host of things over the last year. We've looked at accountability, we've looked at responsibility, and we've looked at masculinity. And the conversation has gotten wide and it's gotten deep and it's spread all across the internet. But what is the purpose of this conversation? One of the things I was looking at as I was coming through and doing, I'm going to ask you to kind of weigh in on this. When you think about masculinity in 2023, what comes to your head?
Me?
Yes, you.
Me comes to my head. Because a lot of times when I look outside of my house,
Yes.
I'm not sure.
That's really interesting, and I want you to unpack that because that's kind of the root of what we're talking about here today. In terms
And
of
I'm not talking about gay or
yes,
whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about what happens in the world these
Yes.
days. For example, I go to church.
yeah,
So I can't make reference to other places. And I would see, and a lot of people would just say it's nice and it looks wonderful. But I see the entire household coming out, and the lady with her pink hat, and the guy wears a pink tie and a floral jacket, and they're all matching.
everybody in pink.
Everybody in pink. And while I'm not opposing to dressing together as a family, and I'm not saying that certain colors are masculine. Oh well, some certain colors are masculine, and depending on how they're worn,
Yeah,
right? And I'm not saying that a man should not support his wife or his family.
and you know what? I'm gonna pause right because even as you're saying this,
You start seeing it.
Yeah, you're seeing there's a need to kind of apologize or say
No,
something
no,
to
no,
try
no.
to balance out to make sure.
I don't want anybody to think that I'm discriminating. That's it.
And that's the thing. That's the point, you know.
Yeah.
We've gotten so much confusion in the space that every time you try to say something,
You discriminate. It
yes,
seems like you discriminate.
you have
Hate
to
speech.
qualify so many
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And the thought for me,
The long shot of what I'm saying is,
Yes.
you can see that it was influenced
yes,
by his wife. Is that wrong or right? Maybe not.
and you're still qualifying.
Right? But I yet to see something that was no, I'm wrong. I was gonna say I yet to see something that was influenced by the husband. But I have a friend named Terrence Blake.
Yes,
I can see influenced by him.
and you're seeing that in individuals.
Yeah.
And the root here is there's so much out there that it is hard to distinguish between what is just that individual versus you saying, hey, this is the message and the path for men.
Yeah.
And that's the root of the challenge, in that when we're trying to understand, when a young boy is coming up, he's growing up, and he's asking himself, maybe he doesn't have a father at home, he doesn't have influencers, he's trying to sift through what is happening in the space. What must I be? What can I be? What should I be? And let's just go out there and say, he doesn't know God. He's trying to figure out himself. So he doesn't know what to believe. And it is very hard to sift through all of the noise, all of the music, everything that is going on out there, and saying, okay, fine, this is what a man should be. And someone who's going to jump in and who defines that a man should be? And here is the point. Because we believe that this has already been defined.
Yes.
Male and female, he created them.
Yes.
Right? And so when even a boy growing up in church is faced with who defines, and then he'll hear some person in the church say this, because you said it right, you know, it's because it's not just out in the world that this struggle obtains. This struggle is right here in the church. A young boy is trying to grow up and say, okay, fine, what kind of man will I be? And he goes, okay, men can wear pink. All right. Men can wear anything that they want to wear, because you can be anything that you want to be in 2024. But when you can be anything that you want to be, the Bible says, and they did whatever they saw fit in their own mind, then that means there is no base, there is no measure. And if there is no measure, then there is no right or wrong. There is no definition. And so a boy now is growing up in the church. He's decided that he wants to be wear pink shirts and dance and do all the things that he sees other men doing in the world. And then he hears the people now in the church condemning him. But why? Why are we condemning him if he's just doing what he's learned? He's trying to sift through all the noise and doing what he thinks is best. And he finds some aspects condemning him. And now the church itself gets confused.
Yes.
Because he's been coming up, no one's told him, and this is what I'm trying to get to. No one has told him what it means to be a man. But yet we're condemning him. And that's why he just lives what he learned. He's living what he's learned. No one has given him a prescription and say, hey, these are the things that you should follow. Now let us walk together. He's doing what he's seeing fit. He's trying to sift through all the noise that is going on both in the world and in the church. He's come to a conclusion, and when he's come to this conclusion, we've come to him and we've met him with confusion and judgment.
Robert, something that is also put to boys and men, and even grown men, they think that they should do something to be a man in order to earn a woman. So they should do something to be a man in order to earn a woman.
The right to be with a woman, yes.
Yes. All right. And so in putting that in their heads, they already feel like, well, I'm not a man yet.
And you'll hear it at weddings.
Yeah.
You're finally becoming a man.
Yes. And we say it jovially, and until we start believing it, until a person believes that you're not a man until you're married. I've heard it so many times. Welcome to the rank of manhood.
There you go. And that connects to what we were saying before in terms of, but who would have taught that husband how to be a man or how to be a husband even?
Maybe he wasn't.
Where are we learning any of these things? Where are the prescriptions that says, hey, to be, because and I hesitate to say this because time is now different. I can't say it's either easy or harder, but it's different. In before times, a young boy growing up would have a prescription and then he'd have a rite of passage. These are some things that, hey, some milestones that he'd hit, and then that would usher him into manhood, and then the life cycle continues. But in this day and age, there is no rite of passage, there is no prescription, there is no path. And so, as I said before, everyone is doing what they see fit in their own mind. And as we do that, we'll get different prescriptions for what manhood is. When you attain manhood, is it at the marriage? Is it after you've slept with however many women? Is it after you've had your first drink? Is it after you learn how to drive? Or is it after when you get your right to vote? All of these things are circulating in the ether, circulating out there in the world. And who makes the determination? Because remember, this boy doesn't know anything. As a matter of fact, he didn't grow up with a father. He probably even didn't grow up with his mother. He grew up with his auntie out in the country someplace. And so you have enough of these boys coming together, or enough of these people coming together, and then they start sharing these messages. So the message gets transmitted. You only become a man when you get married. Or you only become a man after you start earning a certain amount of money. You only become a man when you graduate from college or graduate from school. And no one is sifting through all of these things and saying, okay, and whether this is leadership, the church going, you know what, let us put together a program to help boys become men. Because we understand that for whatever reason, the homes are not what they used to be or not what they're supposed to be. And so, because homes are not what they're supposed to be, how do we help both boys and girls to understand what they need to be so that they can become what they have been designed to be? And that's where it comes down here. Because if they don't, we believe that we've been designed to become something, but they don't know. And the world doesn't know. So how can we let the world lead the conversation as to what we can be and should be, and we are not participating, we are not fully committed to the mission? Yes, we'll say, okay, let us have some campaigns, let's get persons baptized, but when we get them baptized, what must they be? And especially for even children growing up in the church, what must they be? Because we send them off to school.
So Robert, you know what I'm hearing, like in white.
Yes.
What I'm hearing in the white print is that might be the root cause of this whole gender confusion.
There we go.
People doing what they want to do, because a boy acts like a girl, and you tell him, be a boy. You're not a girl, be a boy. How do you be a boy?
How does he know?
You understand? How does he be a boy? What do boys do?
Because he's going to go to school and teacher is going to tell him, no man, you can do whatever you want. You can wear the pink, you can wear a dress. I've had a friend who her son went to school and teacher was telling them they can wear dresses to school. In our education system now, or let me say not our education, in the California education system, if a boy decides that he wants to be a girl, the teacher and tells teacher can withhold that information from the parents if teacher believes that the parents might try to steer him in the wrong, as they say, the wrong direction.
in the
other direction. And so in the world there are elements conspiring against what we believe. And if elements are conspiring what we believe, this shouldn't be news to us, because we believe that there's an enemy who is deliberately trying to do this, deliberately trying to cause confusion. So my invitation is, and I mean, you can toss out the phone lines up to invite persons to come in and participate as we have this conversation and talk about why should we have the conversation about masculinity.
So the phone line is 945-9029, 945-9029.
And I say this because, I mean, I can only speak from the position of being a man because that's what I am, right? Okay. And so if someone wants to have a conversation about what it means to be a woman, I mean, they can have that conversation because there's a whole bunch of noise and confusion going on there as well. And so here is the invitation for us to have the conversation so together we can get back away from the confusion and get back to what the design was for us to work together to build a unit that will be the basic unit to build a society. That basic unit is two people coming together, building a family, strengthening and training that family so that they can continue to strengthen and train others. And if the family is confused and the children coming up even in that family that lives in the church is confused, we're all lost.
Yes. Again, and that's not only to do with manhood or a number of things are just left out vague.
Yes.
And as soon as the young people probably explore or experiment, they're bashed over the head. You don't know you should do better, or you don't know you shouldn't do that. And if they said no, they might get another slap.
Exactly.
Who taught them?
Who taught them? And that question keeps coming back, who taught them? Because if I didn't know, and one of the things that I've had to explore is, if I didn't know, if I don't know, then who's going to teach my son?
So I mean, Robert, as you speak, as a parent,
yes,
there are a number of things, I'm not speaking about me now, take for granted. And I guess it's because of the same school that I grew up in. We take it for granted that some things are not natural.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are just not natural. Just for example, just like a child
Mm-hmm.
would grasp the principles of mathematics easily,
Mm-hmm.
or some persons can just born and sing parts naturally.
Mm-hmm.
We take everything else
That is just going to happen naturally.
that's gonna happen naturally.
Not remembering that those people who grab those things naturally, they're special and they're few.
Mm-hmm.
The average person has to work,
Yeah.
has to explore and figure things out so that they can catch them. Yeah, sure. When we catch it, we can catch it good and we can work well. But if we learn the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to catch the wrong thing well
Yes.
as well.
I remember in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
when I was a part of scouting, we had a theme song that says "Don't blame it on the children."
Mm-hmm.
And you just by listening back to the song, basically, what the song was saying is whatever the child does, they were taught.
Children live what they learn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and so let me say this: if you see a boy making strange decisions,
Mm-hmm.
to say that he's a goat or a girl or whatever, don't blame it on them.
And that's a hard pill to swallow for some persons,
Yes.
because they say we don't blame it on the child, then that means you're blaming me. And the answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes. First, let us accept that in the parent-child dynamic, there's a power difference. And if you don't accept that you have more power than this child, which means therefore you are responsible for the child, then you won't be able to do what you need to do.
Even when the child is an adult,
Even when the child is an adult,
there's God designed something where